the issue of food insecurity, whether it is immediately after the war or even before it. There were also comments, and I was very grateful for Axel von Trotzenberg from the World Bank for highlighting the fact that there could be, or this could be, the best time for a review by countries, particularly in the European Union, to look at how best the world can benefit from agriculture and by trade of agricultural products. So with that background given already, I think my job for giving the concluding remarks are fairly easier. But I would like to share also somewhat going through the pandemic and also immediately after that, India's experience in ensuring that no Indian remains hungry even during the severest of lockdown that we had brought in by sheer using of technology, and that technology which was put in place not anticipating a pandemic, but a technology which enabled movement of people but ensuring the social welfare methods would reach them, measures would reach them. For instance, I'm sure most of you all saw the migrant workers in India moving from one place where they were working to back to their villages during the pandemic, and there were no trains, no buses, and there were media coverage of the event. But what I want to underline here is because we have brought in technology and because a poorer family which may live in the village, but the male or the female adult of the house goes out to the cities to work, both the male or female adult who's working in the cities, leaving the family behind, will both get the advantage of deriving from the public distribution system which we have. How is that possible? Because if you're living in your village, you would go to the shop which is given the right or the license to give governments subsidized food grains for the poor. But what we did was to ensure that the identity card of the individual and his family's details are all linked with what we call as Aadhaar, which is an identity card, which also has a biometric link to the identity, and making sure that because he has that biometric identity and his family is listed in that list of beneficiaries, because we give per person 5 kgs of wheat or rice and also some pulses, and in some states additionally cooking oil is also given. So the first measure which I want to put before you as a good case study where we ensured our poor, be wherever they may be in a large country like India, would get their share of the ration and not deny his family members who are living in the village. So he could draw his bit from the city in which he is, and the rest could be drawn by the family because all this was digitized. The distributing shop was also digitized. So that is one measure where technology has come of great help, and we did not have even one incidence of people waiting for food to be supplied. So that is one of the measures which I want to highlight. The second, we have been also ensuring that food grain production is not just in the hands of large land holding, but also with very small, what you would have earlier called subsistence farmers. But not really subsistence any longer. They are able to produce and sell in the market, and for whatever little that they produce, they earn their living. So what we do in that case, and we've been doing this for decades now, is for these small farmers who really cannot on demand get the right price in the market because the quantity they produce may not be big. At the same time, there are no aggregators who can conclude or aggregate all these small gatherings or small productions so that they can come to the market and demand a better price. So what we have done is to determine a price, the minimum support price that we give for these very small farmers, because if by the time they approach the market, the rates had come down, come well below even below the cost of production, we give them a price which is determined by a committee which looks at what is the cost of production and will he have a little more in his hand to run his family. So this MSP, minimum support price, which we are giving to the farmers, is also a very attractive reason why farmers today understand that their produce will not be left to the vagaries of the market. But however, I would like to draw the attention here that we procure from these minimum support price given to the farmers. From those farmers, we also procure to make sure that our buffer stock is adequately filled, because India has a Right to Food Act based on which people should get their grains at a highly subsidized rate. Just to give an example, if wheat per kg is sold in the market at something like 33 rupees a kg, what we give him when he takes it from the authorized shop is 2 rupees per kg. Literally a 31 rupees subsidy per kg is given by Government of India so that poor don't suffer. But when you procure it, we also keep it in the buffer stock so that when the distribution happens to the poor, it is drawn from that. But we've also come to a situation where the procured grains are much more than what we would want for the public distribution system. And that is where recently, in the last meeting of the World Bank, I did raise this issue, and I'm grateful to the WTO. I am very grateful to the DG WTO who picked up on this little complaint I had and has delivered somewhat, if not as much as I wanted, somewhat in terms in the last ministerial conference of the WTO, has delivered somewhat, at least to protect the rights of our coastal area fishermen who don't go deep into the sea, but the fish that they get is so critical for their nutrition and also for the local markets which depend on nutrition via fish that they bring in. So there are ever so many such schemes through which we have ensured that the farmers in India, however difficult the environment may be, produce and their cost is met even if the market vagaries hit them negatively. And the one other issue that had for a very long time as a little peeve, in the sense WTO's restriction that grains so procured cannot be brought to the market to export, is a condition which exists from the Uruguay round days. We have repeatedly said that more than what we have for our small farmers who need the ration, who need the supply, there are small farmers who produce more. We are quite willing to trade that so that in today's context, the hunger, the food insecurity can be addressed. But there is a hesitation in the WTO. The one little success we've had is what was mentioned earlier by Ivela, that through the World Food Program, we are now able to give the amounts which they might want. But that's not the end of the story. Besides the World Food Program, there are others who would want as well for selling in countries which so desperately need it. I think, therefore, I'm very much in line with what Alex from the World Bank said, that there is a time now for us to review so that we don't take exogenous shocks on issues like hunger, on food. I can understand if there's a problem with fuel, I keep worrying about it, but we can, that is an issue afterwards. First is get the food onto the poor. And therefore, I would think this conversation which is happening here is absolutely necessary. There is one reminder which I would like to place before all of you all. The UN has announced next year as the year of the millets. Millets are the wonder grain of the world. They are ancient. They are spread across all over the parts of the globe. If Chile and Peru can give us quinoa, there are many other countries, inclusive of some of the African countries and some parts of India, which have somewhat degraded land, which are not fertile. But such lands can produce good coarse grains. Millets have so many different varieties, and India leads in that production. I would like to submit before you that World Food Program or the world looking at food insecurity should not focus its attention just on wheat and rice and should not focus its attention just on a few pulses. It should look at coarse grains because that was part of all our lives till some time ago. Then we moved over to finer and finer grains, which are now giving us lifestyle diseases as well because of too much of gluten, whereas the millets don't have too much of gluten. So, Year of Millets is some time when all of us will have to work together. We can actually build awareness of both the supply, which is in abundance, and the demand, which lies in various different parts of the world, but we can effectively bridge the gap and be able to serve on bringing food security and not worry about shocks which give us food insecurity.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.